Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All my dear friends, allow me to take this opportunity to present the results of the research entitled Barriers to Student Learning in Operating Fraction. The background of my research are, as we know that fractions are one of the most important mathematical concepts because they are useful for mathematics, other disciplines, and for life. However, the facts reveal that fractional operations are a problem for students at all levels of education and regions. Therefore, conducting research related to fractional operation is important. One type of research that is quite important in learning is analyzing student learning barriers, because by knowing student learning barriers, learning weaknesses can be anticipated by teachers. Teachers are able to know the factor that cause this obstacle and become the basis for preparing teaching of materials. Therefore, the purpose of this study is to identify the types of learning barriers students experience in fractional operation. To achieve this goal, I create two research questions. The first, do students experience learning difficulties when operating fraction? And the second is how the types of learning barriers that students experience when operating fraction. To answer these two questions, I use a qualitative approach with the type of phenomenology hermeneutics, because the researcher tries to interpret phenomena in the form of learning barriers and how these phenomena can occur. This study uses the researcher as the main instrument, with several additional instruments such as student biographies, fractional comprehension tests, student answer sheet, interview guidelines, study documentation, and the researcher's daily journal. This research is located in SMP Negeri 1 Narmada, one of the secondary school in Lombok, Indonesia. The participants in this study were 28 7th grade students. The interview informant were 8 students and 1 teacher. The 8 people were taken from all categories of students. I used thematic analysis to analyze the data on learning barriers. I also used the theory of learning barriers developed by Brousseau to determine the types of learning barriers that students experience. Brousseau divides learning barriers into 3 types, namely didactical, ontogenic, and epistemological. Didactical relates to learning barriers caused by teacher factors and learning path. Ontogenic relates to students' unpreparedness, while epistemology relates to the limited context or illustration model that the teacher used when student learns a concept. I use NVivo 12 software to make the coding process easier. The procedure of this research begins with the researcher collecting student biodata to determine the characteristic of student in order to strengthen trustworthiness, which ends by analyzing the data using data analysis as previously disclosed. The results of the study are as follows. 100% of students come from Narmada area. Most of the participants were women with an age range from 13 years to 17 years. The students come from the Sasak and Balinese tribes, 2 tribes that dominate the area of West Lombok. The average score is 30.53. The score is below the minimum completeness criteria, so that it can be include that student experience obstacle in learning fractional operation. The themes for all cases of fractional operation are as shown in the table. The type of obstacle experienced by the participant is conceptual ontogenic for the case of adding dissimilar fraction. conceptual, ontogenic, and psychology for the case of subtraction, multiplication, and division fraction. This type of epistemological learning obstacle for everyday life cases involving fractional operation. The new procedure found by the participant is the division of fractions by dividing directly the denominator with the denominator and the denominator with the denominator and the numerator with the numerator. However, for this procedure, it is required that the numerator and denominator, the second fraction, are the numerator and the numerator of first fraction respectively. Maybe this is all I can say. Thank you for the opportunity. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.